Tom Clark's 6M podcast is a Boink Studios production. And now, on with the show.
Hey, what is up? Welcome to Tom Clark's 6M podcast. I'm your host, Tom Clark, and in this episode, I'm joined by co-host Phil Lindsey.
Everybody's talking about Spider-Man right now, kids, and with good reason, because that new Spider-Man movie has done a little bit of business. It's done a lot of business, actually. It's made way more than just a little bit of money. It's made a lot of money, and it's still making money, and holy Lord, whoever said that these comic book films couldn't make $1 billion anymore evidently spoke much too soon, because Spider-Man Brand New Day is well clear of that mark and is approaching $2 billion as we do this podcast. It's freaking nuts. I'm not surprised. I'll bet Phil's not surprised. A lot of people out there are not surprised by this because it's Spider-Man. Spider-Man does business, and I can't wait to get into it. I've seen it twice. Can't wait to discuss it with Phil. And hopefully everyone out there is ready to hear our takes. And we'll get yours at some point as well, whenever you want to throw them out there. But before we do all of that, let's do this. Spider-Man Brand New Day is the fourth solo Spider-Man movie starring Tom Holland and the 38th film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It was released by Sony Pictures and Marvel Studios on July 31st, 2026. Directed by Destin Daniel Cretton, who previously directed Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, the movie picks up 4 years after the events of No Way Home, with Peter Parker living alone and fully dedicated to being Spider-Man after Doctor Strange's spell erased Peter Parker from everyone's memory. Peter works alongside characters including Frank Castle, Bruce Banner, and Yelena Belova, as he faces a series of smaller-scale threats in New York City, leading to his battles with Jean Grey, one of the most powerful mutants in the Marvel Universe. Produced on a budget of $225 million, that's a lot of money, Spider-Man Brand New Day went on to earn $1.18 billion worldwide, making it another massive box office success for Marvel's web slinger. And that is your lowdown on Spider-Man Brand New Day. Phil, we're on our way to $2 billion. I know that you and I both believe this movie was going to be a hit. Did you envision $2 billion less than a month after its release?
No. I knew it was going to make some money, of course, because it's Spider-Man. This is one of the most valuable IPs in comics. Arguably the greatest comic book character ever created. It's going to make money. Very popular character, and arguably at the height of his popularity in film.
I'll take that.
And if you don't want to argue that he's at the height of his popularity, you're in uncharted territory, because this is the first time that we've gotten past the third movie, and the third movie was so well received, it got people more interested in more Spider-Man. When we got to Spider-Man 3, that was the worst of the Raimi franchise. And that led to issues with Raimi and Sony, and negotiation issues with Tobey Maguire. And, you know, as history is already stated, that led us to the reboot. Amazing Spider-Man didn't even get to a third movie because the second movie was such a disaster.
Terrible.
And that's why I'm saying we're in uncharted territory coming out of No Way Home, where this was such a big, massive success for them that it's like, there's no way we're not greenlighting a fourth movie. And we're in a position with Tom, with an actor that has played the character in 7 movies at this point, right?
It's a lot.
He's been playing this character since 2016, 10 years.
Crazy, man.
And so that's what I'm saying. You have an entire generation of people that, you know, they've grown up with Tom from high school up. And so everything about this is uncharted territory. And so, yeah, when you really put all those things to account, it kind of feels like there was no way this wasn't going to be a success. Even if it had been critically panned, and it has not, it was going to make a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, this thing is. I know the Rotten Tomatoes score is like it's in the 90s, right? I don't think it's 100, but I think it's very close. I mean, it's up there. We didn't mention the writers of this movie are Chris McKenna and Eric Summers. I think I let those guys out at the beginning. Yeah, I don't know if I believe this thing was going to make the kind of money it's made. I did say $1 billion. I said $1 billion, but holy Lord, I mean, we passed $1 billion 4 days in. I think 5 days in. It's insane.
Like in the first week.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dude.
But two things are at play. That you've had so much success with Tom as Spider-Man, and then it's Spider-Man. Like, this is a flagship character for Marvel. This is, again, one of the most valuable IPs that you have. There's a reason why Sony has been scratching and clawing and making every decision possible to try to keep the rights with Sony, because they know what they're losing if they lose this. This is a, at this point, proven billion-dollar franchise.
Yeah, and not to get too far ahead, but he has stated publicly, has Holland, that the time's going to come when he's going to hand this off, and that there apparently have been discussions behind the scenes. Don't know how true this is. That they already have a trajectory of where they want this to go, and it's going to end up with Miles Morales. So I don't know what that means for Tom in this franchise. I don't know if we've got another movie, if we've got 2 more. This feels like a new trilogy with Brand New Day, but I don't know if the third film will be Miles Morales and Tom, or if it'll just be Tom for the next 2, or if there'll even be another 2. If you had to throw a guess out there, what's your gut telling you about this?
I think we'll get Spider-Man 5 with Tom. I think we'll get at least one more movie with Tom before he's ready to pass the baton. There was a moment in this movie where I thought, wait, is this it? Are they gonna move on from Tom? And but
what was the moment?
It was in the third act, in the climax, where he gets shot. I was like, is this how they're gonna end it? Because if you read Ultimate Comics, famously, that is how Peter Parker died, and that is how he got shot. And then it led to the fight with Green Goblin, and he dies in that fight with Green Goblin. So I didn't know. I was like, oh wait, is this the end of Tom? But a funny thing happened, and I'm often not wrong. I'm just early sometimes. And I remember initially when Marvel Studios made this landmark deal with Sony to get the right to use Spider-Man in Civil War and to make their own movies with him. And there was a big outcry at that time for people that wanted them to move on from Peter Parker and just use Miles Morales in those movies. And I said at the time, there is no way that Marvel fought this long to get Spider-Man back to not use Peter Parker. You can't. There's no way you wait this long to get Spider-Man back to use a legacy character. No, you're going to get Peter Parker. And I said at the time, not only are you going to get Peter Parker, but they're going to get you to like this version of Peter Parker so much that you're not going to want him to go. You're not going to want him to pass the baton. And I'm already seeing it. I'm already seeing people say, we need at least 2 more movies with Tom. We're not ready for him to move on from the character. And I knew it because, again, you've got this guy playing the character for 10 years. It's going to be a big moment when he moves on.
Yeah, and dude, all credit to Tom Holland, because he is. I saw a clip of the first Spider-Man movie today, or it was a Civil War, when he comes home and RDJ is there in the living room with May, and I'm like, it feels like a different actor because he's little, and it's so young, and I'm like,
he's matured. We've watched him grow up.
Yeah.
And I think that that's one of the best things about this movie. It feels like a mature movie. It feels like a mature version of Peter Parker. And I think it works. I mean, like, there are some gripes I could have I think it would have been fun to see Peter in college. But no, this is absolutely a mature version of this character, and it feels earned. And that's also why I feel like this is kind of uncharted territory, because we didn't get that with Toby or Andrew.
Yeah, that's true. And to your point of him not going to college in this universe, we won't get Peter the teacher as we got in the books. So that's fine. That'll be different though. And like, I don't know. This is really jumping ahead. I don't know if this Peter Parker is meant to be happy. Most Peter Parkers, as you know, are not meant to be happy because, Peter Parker is downtrodden. He is, tortured. He's always behind the 8 ball. People are always against him all the time. And that's where he thrives. That's where the character is at his greatest. This is why you can't just give Peter Parker the world on a silver platter. Nobody'd buy it to begin with, and it wouldn't feel like the right character. Like, there's still a long way to go, I think, for this. I believe he gets 2 more movies, and I think they'll have 2 sets of 3 for 2 trilogies.
Mm-hmm.
But whether or not he gets a happy ending, I mean, I hope so. I don't know if it's in the cards for him. What do you think about that?
I think it is. I think it's. I think it would be a huge risk to kill him off and have Miles replace him. But I do think there's a place where either he retires or he goes off and does something else. It's possible.
Yeah.
And I mean, I have my way that I think they could do it, and I think it would make a ton of sense. But I don't know. There's stuff in this movie where it's just like, oh, I don't, because the romance stuff, the longing. There's a lot of longing, yearning in this movie, and I don't buy that this is the end result here. I don't buy that this is just the end of his story with MJ. I think it's going to keep going.
Yeah, I feel like it is too, because people are already trying to spin the end with him and Ned. People are already saying, Ned didn't recognize him, you're wrong. I'm like, I'm sorry. I feel like Ned at the end, it clicked with him who Peter is. And like, if it can click with him, it can click with MJ too at some point, I think.
Yeah, I mean, spoilers, of course. But
bunch of them.
There's 2 ways to look at that scene. Because of course, we have that great scene on the rooftop with Spider-Man and MJ, and Jean plays him. The gasp in the audience when she revealed that she wasn't really MJ and she didn't remember him. Really great. Some great acting from Zendaya in that screen. I would say that this movie all around is Zendaya's best acting in the entirety of this franchise. But I've seen people say, well, if she didn't remember him after that, why did it work for Ned? Why did it break the spell? And there's 2 ways to look at this. Either it didn't break the spell with Ned, and when he did the handshake with him, after he said, hey, I'm Peter, and he looked up at him, he was like, oh, Peter. MJ said Peter is Spider-Man. And he realized, oh, you're Spider-Man, not you're my longtime friend, you're Spider-Man. That's a way to look at it. Or
true,
it's that gesture and everything broke the spell, and it worked because it also worked with MJ, and MJ is not telling him the truth. And that's kind of where I land, that I don't think MJ is telling him the truth, especially when you see her at the end and she's like sitting on the top of the school where they used to always sit in the original movies, and she has the necklace out. I think she remembers him. I just don't think she told him the truth.
That's a twist to keep him safe as well, because he's trying to keep her safe.
Well, I think when you look at like MJ's entire arc from the first movie, she's always kind of shown that she's smarter than he thinks. Like she kind of figures it out before he's ready to tell her that he's Spider-Man. I mean, she figures it all out all the way in the first movie. And
very true.
The last thing she would want is to be lied to and to be manipulated. And I mean, she makes that point at the beginning of this movie where she's just like, I don't want to go and work for a soulless corporation, or like that kind of goes against everything she stood for. So if you have this person that you were in love with and he told you, I promise I'm going to come back for you, and then he waited 4 years and never told you, and then you just found out on accident, and you're just looking around like, were you ever going to tell me the truth? I think she's upset. I think she's upset because she feels lied to. And I think because of that, she's not ready to forgive him yet.
Because in Peter's mind, I got to keep them safe. If I reveal myself, she's going to put them back in the crap again with me.
Yeah.
Back in the grinder, and I don't want them to be in that grinder with me again. Right?
Yeah. There's too much here that leads me to believe that she remembers. When they're in the apartment and she draws that picture of them doing the Legos exactly like she used to do in the original trilogy, I was like, no, I think she remembers. She just don't want to tell him the truth.
Interesting.
She's not ready to tell him the truth. And she's not ready to accept what that means, because you've lost 4 years of your relationship together and you started a relationship with somebody else. I can't just leave my relationship and just come back to you because you wrote me a note.
Right. It's fair. We never see that poor guy again, do we?
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's too difficult now. It's too complicated. And I think she realizes that. And I don't think it's just as simple as I can just go, well, I remember you, I love you too. And then it's like, okay, once you admit that, what's stopping us from being together? I don't know, all these other things, like I'm in a relationship with somebody else, and I don't know, you lied to me for 4 years. You kept this from me for 4 years.
It's fair. Zendaya's here, as we know, kids, as MJ. Jacob Batalon is back as Ned. Fantastic. If I say this character has evolved, not really. He kind of feels like the same person. But Ned's great. Like, I don't have any... And I got to be honest with you. As soon as the movie was over, I opened my phone to find the Spidey tracker on the App Store. Shame on you, Sony, for not making this an actual app that people could just play with. How cool would that be, man?
Yes. But again, it's just so much about this movie that earned. I mean, after everything he went through, he being Peter in No Way Home, you understand why he's so protective of his identity. And I think that is one of the best bits of this movie, of like how he is going out of his way to not take his mask off. And that's really kind of a first for Spider-Man live action, because, you know, the studio wants to see the actor. We didn't hire this guy and pay him all this money to keep his handsome face covered. So to see a Spider-Man movie where he keeps the mask on for a good chunk of the movie, I love that part of it. I love how protective of his identity is, but he has every reason to, because the last time he wasn't as protective of his identity, he lost everything.
Has anyone I'm sure they have. Has anyone counted the minutes for this movie? Like, is this the most amount we've ever seen Spider-Man and the mask in a film?
Yeah, that'd be an interesting stat. I haven't seen it anywhere, but it seems like it.
I don't know of any other movie that could top it.
Yeah.
Because it seems like they can't wait to get these guys out of those masks, man.
Yes. But yeah, I love the way that those played up, all the way up from the Marvel logo when we see it, of all the iterations of Peter, and he's disappearing in all of them. I thought that was a great touch. But yeah, because of everything he went through with Mysterio and, you know, being outed the way he was and what happened to him in No Way Home, he's very protective of his personal life and his identity. And I thought that played up really well here. They could have at least immediately just were like, well, let's just do away with all the consequences for that movie. Let's just put him in a suit and just make this simple. But no, we get the first hour or so of this guy being very lonely and having to deal with being lonely in a real way. And so it does feel rewarding when you get some of the scenes with him and Ned, and it's kind of like the ending of Spider-Man 2. It's like, why won't you let someone save your life, Peter Parker?
Ooh, that's good. And, you know, he gets shot. No Avengers are there. There's no Tony. There's no May. There's no Ned or MJ, because no one knows who he is, and Tony's dead. And, like, man, you really feel how alone he is. It did to me when that happened, you know?
Yeah, and there's so many scenes where when he does really let his guard down in the movie, and it feels like emotional. There are several scenes where it really hit. Like the fight with Hulk had no right to be as emotional as it was, with the climax of him saying, "I'm your friend," and it worked. It hit.
Yes, because you know, you could make the argument that who forgot? Did Banner forget or did Hulk forget? Because you can make the argument, why would that matter to Hulk?
Yeah.
but like Hulk stopped and stopped fighting. And it's almost like, does Hulk remember who he is? Like, I don't know. Maybe that's me just nerding out too much.
Of course. I mean, you can look at it that way, but I think the great thing about it is it's the same way that Banner saw a kindred spirit in Tony. And I see it the same way as Hulk in Banner. Well, he lives a very lonely life because of him being the Hulk. He's always going to be the Hulk. He's always going to be a danger to all of his loved ones. And so for someone to be like, I'm your friend, he doesn't get that often.
That's true. You know, before we get to the Punisher stuff, I got to ask you about this. The whole arachnid blood thing and the black eyes and the insanely hyper realistic Spidey sense that has never been portrayed to this degree, and the ferocity he has. He almost killed a cop. They put that over. I'm not saying I wasn't here for it. At the same time, I'm like, did we need all of that? Like, it kind of felt like, here's the cake. The cake's great. Here's more cake. And I'm like, yeah, but the cake was great. Like, I felt like there was enough turmoil with him. Do you think it took away from the story, or do you think it added to it, honestly?
I thought it added to it because I thought that they were making a point that not only has Peter matured into an adult, but his powers are evolving. His powers are evolving, and I don't think he ever considered that they would evolve to a point that he wouldn't be able to control it. And I thought like the logical next step was to do the man spider stuff here, but I assume they didn't want to do that here. There's a quote from Tom Holland where he says they thought that would be probably too scary for a movie that they wanted kids to come see. But I thought with everything they were leading to, I think that, you know, for all of the guilt that he felt coming out of No Way Home and all of the burden he's taken on with being Spider-Man, that they were leading to this being he's more spider than man now.
I'm glad they didn't do the 8 arms. I would not have been here for that. Or 6, whatever it is. Yeah, thank goodness.
Yeah, which they famously did in the animated series and bits of the comic book. I think it would have been a cool concept for them to go with, but I liked all of the stuff with the organic webbing, and of course now because he's interacted with Toby, he knows that there's another Peter Parker out there in the multiverse that has organic web, so he's seen it before. And, you know, the fact that he was stronger and, like, his senses were heightened. I thought all of that was great. Led to some great action scenes with him.
It did.
Yeah, Peter versus the Hand is one of the coolest things we've possibly seen in any Spider-Man movie.
I loved it. Also, when he introduced them, the Hand works for us now. I'm like, do they? You got the red ninjas all hanging out side by side. And I'm like, y'all know there's guys in ties walking around. What are we doing? Like, I moved on very quickly because it's a comic book movie and I'm here for it.
Yeah.
But I'm like, come on, what is this? Where's Matt when you need him? Matt should be going, y'all can't trust these guys. They're crazy. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. When he said that was immediately when I was like, oh, this guy is a liar.
Yes.
This guy is the villain, because I was like, there's no way. There's no way you're just going to get the Hand to work for you. There's something he's not telling him.
Of course. Yeah. Before we get to damage control, Jon Bernthal, the story that's been told, that he's told, that everyone's told, is that he made it clear, I'll do this and I'm on board, but he has to be the same Frank Castle that was in One Last Kill. It has to feel as though he stepped from that special into this movie. I submit it didn't feel like that to me, but I loved him. I thought he was great. But after having watched One Last Kill and how gruesome it is, and graphic, and he's bloodthirsty, and he's suicidal. I mean, holy God. To go from that to this, I didn't bump into it because I thought he was great. But I don't know if I believe it's the same line. I believe it dipped a bit, but again, I didn't bump into it at all because he's fantastic, and I thought the Punisher in this movie was great.
Boink Studios YouTube is the home of Tom Clark's 6M podcast. Tom Clark's Main Event, Bear Mode, a podcast review of The Bear, and Two Nations Under Ted, a Ted Lasso podcast. Subscribe to the channel for archives that date back to 2014, with new content being uploaded every week. And check out boingstudios.com for links to every podcast platform, social media, special announcements, and a lot more. Bookmark the site today.
Do you think they maintained the same line from that special to this movie?
I think that they try. I think it feels tonally different because you have the banter with him as Spider-Man, and there's comedy there, and
Yes.
there's less light in the one shot. But I think his motivations are about the same as they were in the one
fair.
shot. I thought Punisher was one of the highlights of this movie. His dynamic with Spider-Man was excellent.
Dude.
Really stole the show. All of their scenes together are so good.
So good.
It almost feels like a buddy cop film several times throughout this, and it works really, really well. I like the parallel as well that they tried to create with the one shot that you saw what this did to Punisher when he was like, this is the mission. All I have is the mission. I don't have anything else. And that's why he tells Peter, like, what do you want to be like this? You want this? You don't want this, kid. Like, you're a kid. Like, you have your whole life. And because he knows he sacrificed everything for this, and he'll make decisions that Peter would never make. And so I thought that fit perfectly here with him wanting to be the same character and not just wanting to show up and going, oh yeah, I'll just show up and like come in guns a-blazing. No, I'm going to make bad decisions and I'm going to try to kill people because that's the only way I know how to solve this. You're trying to like talk people down and have conversations? No. You're trying to have a life outside of this and also be Spider-Man? No. There's only one way to do this.
Dude, within 90 seconds of first seeing him, he's in the van. He says GD and BS within 90 seconds. I'm like, yep. Well, they're sure going to make an effort. That feels like Frank right there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, great. All of the arguments about, I saved your life in Staten Island. He's like, no, you didn't. All those back and forth are great.
You know what? We've got to have at some point, we need a 30-second flashback of Staten Island where either it works out the way Peter says it did or it doesn't.
Yes.
And everybody's memory is fuzzy. I want that so bad. I can't stand it.
Yes. I would say, and I didn't even realize it until you said it at the top of the show, that this was the 38th Marvel movie. I would say this movie is the most the Marvel universe feels lived in. This is the most that it felt like Spider-Man is in this universe with all of these characters. And like for the montage at the beginning with all of his like rogues gallery that he was beating, and like the way he interacts with all the other characters, whether it be Punisher or Hulk or Black Widow, it very much feels like this is like Spider-Man fully integrated into the Marvel universe.
Dude, so true. And that spot with when he and Punisher are together and Punisher's like shooting up at the Hulk and like, dude, we talked about before the movie got here, we're going to see the Punisher and the Hulk in the same movie with Spider-Man. But when that scene happened, I'm like, it's so good to be a comic book fan right now. I'm so happy with this. Wasn't that great?
So great. I let out like laugh, like I almost had to cover my mouth. I was laughing so hard when he comes in and he's like shooting Punisher with two guns. He's like, oh, and
Yes.
Peter's like, what are you doing?
So good.
It's so funny.
Because he's telling him at one point, he's like, what you go over there? And he's like, what, you afraid to fight the Hulk? And he's like, yep. Like, yep. Like, so good.
He's so great. When they're having a conversation towards the end, he's trying to apologize to him. That's great. Yeah, one of my favorite scenes in the movie as well, when Peter leaves the hospital and he's outside and like he's among the crowd and he's just like looking around and realizing like he has made a huge difference. Yeah. And Punisher is in the window and he's like making the noises with the mask going, yeah, come on.
Oh, man. He was perfect in this. Like, just enthusiastic, wants to do right by the character. I saw him in an interview where they're asking him, how do you get in character? How do you get ready for these things? And he's like, sometimes I'll just get into character and walk through New York and I'll go into a bodega, I'll go into a restaurant and I'll be in character and no one knows I'm doing it just so I can feel what it's like to move around in their skin. I'm like, and plus all the comments he had about One Last Kill where they wanted to do right by the character and give the fans something good. This guy gets it, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he was really great in this movie. All of their interactions together were really great. Yeah, his when he shows up to his like boat that he's living in, and he's got all the booby traps, and he's just like, "What are you doing, kid?" Like,
Yeah.
hilarious.
He
bro.
growls the whole time. Yeah, he's growling the whole time. And, he hits him with the van. He flat out hit him with the van, dude.
Yeah.
Blam. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, what the heck, Frank? What'd you hit me with the van for? He's growling at him and stuff. I predicted Daredevil for this movie. I was dead wrong. A lot of people were dead wrong. They're sticking with the storyline. If you don't know, kids, Daredevil's been locked up by season 2 of Daredevil Born Again. So apparently he's still in jail. I'm sure that'll be mentioned at some point down the road. Hopefully they'll connect the dots. Did you miss anything by not having Matt in this movie?
No, I kept expecting him to show up, especially with the hand in this movie.
Yeah.
But I think it kind of helped because it really highlighted the differences between Punisher and Matt's relationship and Punisher and Peter's relationship. Punisher and Matt, they'll have like an uneasy alliance, and it's kind of like, oh, I'll reluctantly team up with this guy, but I don't trust Punisher, and Matt is very judgmental of Punisher, and like it's very funny that throughout the Netflix show and the Disney Plus show, Matt tries to get through to him. They have like these philosophical debates about the differences in their approach, and he is not getting to Punisher at all. Like Punisher is like standing his ground the entire time, and I think what you see Peter get past his facade by the end of this movie, it shows you what's special about Peter Parker, and it shows you that Peter is always the story, and
Always.
Peter is what makes Spider-Man special. Anybody could be behind that mask, but because it's Peter Parker, that's what makes him special.
Yeah, it wouldn't be the same. Yeah, he touches Frank for sure. Like, because Frank talks about they took a mask off. He's like, I knew it. You're just a good kid. That's who you are. Like you looked like I thought you'd look. And it's cool that Frank protected his identity and wouldn't let anybody just see him without the mask. And he's like, "You crying, Frank?" It's like, what are you talking about? Who cried? He's got to do the typical Bernthal thing. I love this because you could watch One Last Kill and think, boy, that is some of the heaviest stuff I've ever seen for a Marvel property, because it is. I mean, this guy sat at the graveyard with a pistol in his hand. I'm like, that is insanely heavy for Marvel. Then you see him in this, and you're like, okay, you can translate it. It still works. You didn't lose anything. Is it as edgy? No.
Yeah.
But it's also not an R-rated film. So, like, Punisher in a Deadpool movie is R-rated. You can, hey. But, like, here, you got to clean him up to some point. But it didn't take anything away from me at all.
Did you bump up against him being willing to murder a teenage girl?
Yes. I didn't get to it yet. When we walked away from the theater, it was the only thing I had. The other stuff I had, I've kind of already mentioned, but that one I truly bumped into. Like, then I started doing the math, and I'm like, well, if they're college age, are they 19? Are they 20? Is she 21? Like, I don't know. Doesn't make it better, but that I did bump into that. What about you?
Because we've seen him take such a strong stance about violence against women, particularly in his Netflix show.
Yes.
And a lot of the times, the person that was able to get to him and talk to him down, both in the Disney Plus show with a Disney One Shot and the Netflix show, was a girl or a woman. I mean, his relationship with Karen, his relationship with I can't remember the sidekick he had in season 2 of Punisher, and then even in the One Shot when he saves that family in that store, the girl gives him the flower.
That's right.
And so when you think about it, it's like, wait, I don't know if Punisher would be willing to kill a teenage girl. I think he would try to find another way. But at the same time, I think the point they're trying to make here is this is the only way that Punisher knows how to solve things. And if he feels like she's a threat to New York and there's no other way than to put her down, he would be willing to make that tough decision because nobody else would.
Yeah, I mean, it's truly the only thing. The day I saw it, I loved it. I mean, I saw it twice, but it's the only thing. And when it happened, I thought, oh, this doesn't feel good. Like, it didn't ruin it for me. I didn't run to Twitter and tell people how much it sucked. Huh?
Yeah.
All I did was like, yeah, it's not Punisher, because the word innocence comes to mind. Was she innocent? Of course not. But like you said, she's to him, she's a kid. If he's calling Peter a kid, that girl's a kid to him too. Like,
Yeah. But I think it also sets up just how differently the world looks at mutants. All right? And you're in a situation with somebody with Punisher where you don't have any other way of attacking this, because all of the threats to him and his other appearances have been street level guys. Like, he hasn't been in a ton of situations where he's had to deal with somebody that has abilities.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, this is somebody that can can at this point stop this many people dead in their tracks with her telekinesis and could possess other people. It's just like, you can't trust her. She does some pretty terrible things with her powers in this movie, and he's probably looking at it like, nah, I can't. And there's probably some symbolism there with, like, you know, warfare and like the current state of American politics of like, there's no other answer than to just put her down. Like, because this is what I do. Like, this all I know how to do.
Yeah, I mean, heavy stuff, man. Speaking of Jean, Sadie Sink, buddy, if you needed any proof that they're all in on the new X-Men thing, they are all in on the new X-Men thing. She was, we talked about this when we did the Hall H show about who was the villain. We weren't sure. We figured it out pretty quick. It's Jean Grey. A couple things. First, I love that they're going to keep with this idea that UF with Jean Grey, she can shut down freaking everybody. We've seen it before in the comics, of course. We've seen it in more than one film. We saw it here. Dude, all she had to do was exert her will, and look what she did. So I like that they kept that. But the second part of this for me is, there was a moment when I thought, I don't know if she's redeemable, because like you said, she did some heinous stuff. And like, I kind of felt like as Peter is meeting her halfway and trying to feel for her, she gave him nothing until the exact very last second she gave him something. Mm-hmm. And I thought, it's fine because it worked out. But like, there wasn't even an inkling that she was willing to bend. First off, the answer is no, because this is how strong she is in the comics. Is it too strong in terms of the movie? It's a weird question. But also, what did you think about her being sort of as, I don't want to say evil, but as driven as she was, for her to just, I don't know. What do you think about the timing and her powers both?
Again, I think there's like some comparisons to the current state of the world and refugees and what ICE has done. And ICE is doing these grotesque things to lock people up without due process and commit acts of violence on people. And then when you see it on the news, there's this protest or someone standing up against ICE. They look like the worst. They look like the worst perpetrator here. They're the terrorists. And so I think that they're clearly trying to make the point here with Jean. Like, all of this looks bad until you realize what really is happening here. And I think that did a great job of setting up the conflict between the mutants and the government. Jean was perfectly fine with hiding and everything that we saw in the flashback until they took her sister. And then it became personal. And then it became, I don't care what they do to me. I don't care how I look to people. This isn't right.
Yeah.
And so I don't necessarily agree that she's not redeemable. I do think she's redeemable because everything she did is understandable when you realize what was really happening. But, you know, I've seen people say, did she like kill people in this movie? I don't know. I have not. I need to watch it again. And I don't think that it necessarily matters, to be honest. I think that's like a nitpick, right? Like, whether you want Jean to be that kind of character. But I really liked Sadie in the role. I thought she did a great job. Her acting was fantastic. I think she looks the part. I thought the depiction of Jean's powers here and the depiction of Jean without mentorship was great. Because obviously this is leading to someone teaching her to control her powers and teaching her the right way and teaching her that obviously the whole tagline of X-Men, we have to protect people that want to destroy us and put us in cages.
I mean, by the end of the movie, it sure looks like she's heading to a beautiful part of New York.
Yes.
So.
Yes. But I really enjoyed her. I really enjoyed the depiction of, her possessing people because she can't fully control her powers yet. But this is just the only trick she knows how to do with them. The Sarah involvement was interesting because Jean's sister Sarah is from the comics, but she's not a mutant, if I remember. She dies in a car accident, right?
I think that's right.
And, of course, that's how her powers manifest, is after grieving because her sister gets killed in the car accident. But they took a sharp turn with it. But I really like what they did with the setup of damage control and some of the other things they set up. Peter made a colossal mistake. Made a big mistake, and I could see it coming when he had the conversation with Banner, and he's trying to tell him, like, well, what's to stop you from using the inhibitor chip for this means? Or, like, who are you to decide what is, like, a natural usage and what isn't? And I was like, sure seems like the devil's advocate he attempted to play was Tony Stark, and hey, maybe we shouldn't create these robots that could turn into a disaster for us. And again, there was a lot of like parallels between Banner and Peter and Banner and Tony in this movie that I really liked.
And plus, Peter would be more along Tony's way of thinking, perhaps, than he would Banner's, because he's,
his mentor.
Yeah, right. And plus, Peter's looking at bigger picture, and Banner's looking at more individual responsibility, and how, you can't just force this upon people, right? Like, yeah.
Yes.
That's interesting.
Yes, but, he created the technology for this inhibitor chip that I would not be surprised is eventually reverse engineered into inhibitor collars.
Oh, my goodness. You know what? I had flashbacks of Spider-Man 2 with Doc Ock and the technology in the back of the neck.
Yes.
When Peter put that on, I'm like, that looks familiar. So
yeah, that had to be intentional, the callback to the inhibitor chip, because that's exactly what Ock calls it, I believe, in Spider-Man 2, is an inhibitor chip. Yeah. And I mean, there were a few of those. Like, there are, of course, like the callbacks to Toby and organic webs. Even some of the web slinging scenes where they cut between doing it in first person and seeing it from third person. I was like, that's got to be a reference to the Amazing Spider-Man movies, because those are really the only movies that had done web slinging in first person like that.
That's true. Yeah.
Which I thought the web slinging in this movie was great. I thought
great.
Like the mix between practical and CG that they used was really great.
I mean, we reviewed Spider Noir here, kids. It's in the archives. I think we said Spider Noir was some of the best web slinging we'd seen in a Spider-Man thing. But this is really good. Like, really well done. I loved it, actually. Liza Colon Zayas is here. And it was nice to not have someone from the government side that's trying to get Spider-Man. But she was so nice to him. I thought, is he being set up? Are they scamming him? But, like, thankfully he wasn't. But we know her as Tina from The Bear, by the way, kids. Mm-hmm. She was great in this. I hope we get more of her. She feels real. She feels like she doesn't feel like a background character. She feels like she's part of the fabric of the storytelling that they're doing here. I thought she was great.
Yeah, I thought they did a great job of rebuilding Spider-Man supporting cast in this, because that's always been such an important aspect of Spider-Man comics, is his supporting cast. And we got 3 movies of his friend group in high school, and now to get a character like Jean DeWitt was really excited to see that. As soon as they introduced her and she said that was her name, I was like, oh no. I don't know if that's the story they're going to go with moving forward because, of course, very famous Spider-Man comic, The Death of Jean DeWitt. I was like, oh no, I really liked her in this movie. And obviously that's part of why we're supposed to like her, because if they do go that route, it will have more weight to it.
Is the wolf?
Yeah, the wolf. Sorry, I said the wolf.
Yeah. No, that's good. Well, she's got 2 kids in this movie, which, tells you if they were to go that route, Peter learned their names. And because that became a thing in this. And look, not that we're hoping for fictional characters to get killed or anything, but it would probably be because Peter couldn't save her in time because, again, Spider-Man's a very tortured Shakespearean character. Even on his best days when he's doing great, he's going to F something up because he's human, right? Tom Clark's 6M podcast is sponsored in part by Radius Law Group. Every day, Radius helps individuals, families, small businesses, and nonprofit organizations throughout North Carolina, Florida, and Pennsylvania resolve their legal issues by providing effective legal counsel in the areas of estate planning, as well as elder law and Medicaid. Radius Law holds the radical belief that working with a lawyer can indeed be enjoyable. So give them a call at 1-800-519-5667 for more information and tell them that Tom Clark 6M Podcast sent you. Real quick, we got to shout out Marvin Jones III as Lonnie Lincoln. Marvin Jones III was born to play a villain. He just has that growl. Mm-hmm. I mean, he was great in Black Lightning. Can't believe we've never reviewed Black Lightning here on the 6M. I wanted more of Tombstone. He looked very cartoonish. That's okay.
Yes.
Will we get Tombstone again at some point, or is it just going to be kind of a side gag? What do you think?
Yeah, I loved seeing him here. I loved the idea that after everything Spider-Man had gone through in 3 movies, this wasn't the same kid that struggled with Vulture in the first movie. This was a guy that's been to space. He's been in a big epic battle with an alien with the Avengers. He's taken on a big multiversal threat. And he spent 4 years only being Spider-Man, and it's like, this is it. This is what I focus all of my effort into. So yeah, I'm not going to struggle with any of these street level guys. I'm just going to beat them. I thought that was perfectly done. I loved that montage and how we got all of those guys, whether it be Boomerang or Scorpion. I think that was Ramrod at one point we saw. That was great. And I love that Peter just dispatches them. It's not like we tried to make this like this long-going fight, because he shouldn't struggle with any of these guys.
No, he shouldn't. We also had Tremel Tillman as Metzger. If you know Severance, he's in Severance. What an insanely mind-blowing, mind-bending show that is. He is great in that show. He is so disarming. Mm-hmm. He is so believable. He's so trustworthy that, he had me for a long time. And then I'm like, I wonder if he's dirty. So, that's credit to him selling it the way he sold it, man.
Yeah, I mean, when you really look at it, Damage Control has been a steady current throughout all 4 Spider-Man movies. Mm-hmm. And you've seen them get progressively worse and worse all 4 movies. All the way to the first movie, Damage Control creates Vulture in a lot of ways. And what ends up happening with Vulture and what happens between Vulture and Spider-Man is because of Damage Control. By the second movie, again, Damage Control is still in the background. The third movie, Damage Control is exerting even more authority without Tony Stark in the picture. And you see where that logically led by this movie.
I was going to ask you that too. Did you feel the way you just explained it makes sense now because it's evolution of the organization. But when we realized that they're behind it, I'm like, I wonder if Metzger's going rogue. Does Damage Control know he's using the resources for this? Has he told anybody? Is he...
Well, he gets fired by the end of the movie, right?
He disappears, right? They don't know where he's at, I think. I've seen speculation online that this is going to lead to him being behind the Weapon X program. Is that a stretch to you think?
I don't think that it is at all. I think that everything here kind of tells me we're leading to some version of the Mutant Control Agency or some other government entity that is trying to deal with the growing mutant threat.
Yeah, I heard that rumor. I'm like, I don't know if I buy that or not. But he is great here. Florence Pugh, we had to mention as Yelena. What did you think about the whole take off your clothes and get in the water? I think that could have not worked and been hokey, but she's so good and so charming. Like,
Yeah.
I was here for it. What'd you think?
I loved it. I thought the idea of her like, yeah, this is my office. What do you mean? And it's like,
Yeah.
it's a very kind of Natasha thing to do, to try to disarm people with her sex appeal, but also do it in a smart way of like, yeah, I don't know you. Take off all your clothes and get in this water with me. And it's being sold as a sexual act, but it's also being like, I don't know you. I don't know if you have weapons. I don't know if you have a wire on you. I don't know what you got going on. Hey, get in this water with me.
I get in the water with her. I'm just saying.
So yeah, I think again, you're trying to looking at it surface level. It's just like, wait, is this inappropriate? But I think she's just like, as somebody that had been a widow and is used to the world of espionage, just like, I don't know this guy. He wears a mask all the time. Yeah, get in this water. Like, you wearing a wire? You got some weapons on you? What do you have? Who are you?
Yeah. Calls him, what's she call him? Sad boy?
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah. These are small potatoes. You are
Yes.
small potatoes. We are big potatoes in New Avengers.
Yeah, I love also how the Thunderbolts movie and this movie connects, and it really deals with like personal trauma and personal loneliness, because that's something that Yelena had to deal with in her movie.
Good point. Yeah, man. Oof. She's so good at this, man. I love her. She's awesome. Michael Mando is back as Matt Gargan / Scorpion. First saw him in Homecoming. Dude, there's something about that guy. And I'm not a Better Call Saul dude, a guy or anything, but like, there's something about this guy that when he's on camera, it's hard to not look at him. You know what I mean? There's something, he's just captivating. I can't put it into words. I hope we get more Scorpion at some point. 'Cause I thought he was great.
Yeah, I really enjoyed him in Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad. I thought he was great in Homecoming as well. So I was glad to see him back. I was glad we got a payoff to the scene with him and Vulture in jail. We don't find out how he got his suit, but like there's enough here with the continuity they created from Homecoming that you could immediately connect the dots and say, oh, the Tinkerer.
Oh, well done. Yeah. You surprised we didn't get like a few minutes of Keaton, or you think they're just going to move on from that?
Probably gonna move on. I mean, you got to pay Keaton. There are a lot of moving parts in this movie. A lot of actors that they had to pay. They probably didn't want to pay Keaton. I do really hope we get a version of Sinister Six in Marvel's Spider-Man. I don't know that it's possible at this point, but I would love to see it.
So cool. I mean, at this point, I don't know why we couldn't. Like, they've pulled off far crazier things than Sinister Six.
Yeah.
I keep saying that a villain named Mr. Sinister is one of the dumbest names I've ever heard. I grew up with the X-Men comics. I thought he looked great, thought the name was terrible. But if anybody could pull it off, the MCU could pull it off and not even have you laughing at it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I would love it if somebody else took on the mantle of Mysterio. Usually when we see versions of the Sinister Six, they're led by either Norman or Doc Ock. But I would love it if somebody took on the mantle of Mysterio and then he put together a Sinister Six, because really when you look at it, the most impactful villain to Peter in this franchise is Mysterio.
you're right. Yeah, no one else has come close, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, Mysterio really ruined his life.
And no one knows he did.
Yeah.
Because no one remembers. As we know, kids, as we said earlier, this is a more mature Spider-Man. Destin Daniel Cretton. I'm so glad this guy got a second bite at the apple, because that Shang-Chi movie is freaking wonderful. Also made $1 billion, by the way, everybody. Yeah. And he described this movie as the beginning of a new chapter. Mm-hmm. And Kevin Feige has compared this new era to an expanded version of the first act of Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, which I totally feel that. Yeah, the filmmakers wanted him, meaning Tom Holland, dealing with crimes that could realistically happen over a day or two. I love that, because it's, the whole friendly neighborhood aspect. He's unlike a lot of different heroes. He's even unlike Matt, because Matt has the hand, and Matt has a lot of other things going on besides every day someone knocked off a liquor store, someone robbed a bank. That's Spider-Man's.
Yeah.
That's Spider-Man's scene, right? That's what he does. I love that they reminded you in this movie of this is what he is. It's like Tony told him in Homecoming. That's, you got to get back to that stuff. You got to, go back to the friendly neighbor or whatever it was he called it. He's not wrong.
Yeah, and I really love that Peter learned so many lessons from those three movies. He learned from his time with Tony. He learned from the mistakes he made, and he's fine with just taking on small threats. Even when Yelena is saying you take on the small potatoes, he never feels insulted by that. He never comes back and says, well, I should be an Avenger, because he was an Avenger at one point. And we've seen him go through being offered a role in the Avengers and turning it down because he knew he needed to be on the street level. He learned that in his first movie. And so I love that now at this point he's matured to the point where he's really good at this, and this is the closest we've gotten to a street level Spider-Man movie out of 8 movies at this point?
Has it been that many?
Sorry, 9 movies.
Yeah. Jeez. I agree with that. This was the first film to have specific sequences filmed for Screen X. So that I don't have a Screen X theater near me. I wish I did. That'd be cool to see. He was injured during the filming of this, suffered a mild concussion while filming a stunt in 2025 while doing this movie. The injury resulted in him being taken to a hospital. It took several days off from filming, and then production was temporarily halted as he came back. Supposedly, Holland was inspired by Chris Nolan's efficient approach to filming The Odyssey. He wanted each day of production carefully planned. He pushed for practical stunts whenever possible. Some of the action was inspired by the Marvel's Spider-Man video games, which I totally got. We're seeing Holland take more of a invested approach. We talked about Mahershala Ali and that not working out, that maybe before he even put the trench coat on, he wanted to be able to do this, this, and this. Holland has grown as this character to the point where they're listening. He's giving feedback because he's their guy, Phil. He says, I don't want to do this anymore. They lose a lot of money.
Yeah.
So, it makes sense to listen to him. I like that, actually.
Yeah, and I mean, they've had a lot of success with him.
Yeah.
For 3 movies. And then on the other side, his enthusiasm for the character shines through. And we've seen that from day one of him wanting to play the character. And that whole short-lived debacle with Sony and them trying to pull out at one point, and he was the guy that got everybody in the room and got everything sorted out so we can get another Spider-Man movie. So he's been, very hands-on with this. I believe there's a quote of him talking about the initial cut of the movie that they tested with test audiences, and he didn't like that version. He sat down with them, and he was a part of what ended up being the theatrical cut.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, man, good on him. I think that this is his best performance as Spider-Man by far. I thought that this was his definitive performance. I feel like up to No Way Home, I've been saying he's the best Spider-Man. There's not much of an argument after this movie. I think that he proved it by far. His depiction of Peter Parker, just his depiction in the character. This is the closest to Spider-Man from the comics we've seen in a live depiction, in my opinion. He talked about in an interview, I don't know if you saw it, where he said that he felt a lot of pressure being in the same movie as Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, and how he felt like he might have been ready to be done after No Way Home, and he wasn't sure if he could live up to expectations after that. And I think he definitely came into this movie with something to prove, and he proved it.
100%. Speaking of Toby and Andrew, the suit, the new suit. We got another new suit. Tom was involved in designing the suit. It's awesome. It's based partly on the one Peter created at the end of No Way Home. It was also inspired by Toby and Andrew's suits. You can definitely see that in the design. Tom actually tried on costumes originally made for Toby and Andrew, and he researched which details fans liked the most about those suits I love that you can see the fabric wrinkle. I
Yes.
love that it looks imperfect. The mask is tighter. It just looks like he looks great, man. And dude, he's walking around in broad daylight. You're not going, right? Because sometimes that's the test. He looks walking next to DeWolf. He looks fantastic in broad daylight, man.
Yeah, it's the best Spider-Man suit to me. I mean, he did take a lot of what worked with the other suits. The size of the eyes from Amazing Spider-Man 2, but then also adding the retractable eyes like he's had for most of his career as Spider-Man. Have to thank Deadpool, yet another Deadpool influence, that having eyes that emote. And
It's true.
you could see with like the web is raised a little bit, kind of like Toby's suit, but it's not as pronounced.
Yeah.
As somebody that, part of how I learned how to draw was drawing Spider-Man. Like I used to draw Spider-Man a ton growing up. And like there's a certain spacing you have to get right with the webbing on his suit. And I think this gets it perfect. Like it looks perfect. The colors are right. It looks practical. I love that it's not like he shied away from having high tech with his goggles and his web shooters. It's not like he's got like a nanotech suit like he's had before, but it would have been crazy for him to go through those iterations of the suit and not try to add some kind of tech to his suit.
He built Evie. He built an AI into his suit. That makes perfect sense to me.
Yes, because of course his mentor is Tony Stark, so why wouldn't he?
Yes.
But I thought the suit looked really great. I mean, like you said, all of the scenes where we see it in, and there's so many Spider-Man movies where it's clearly not someone in a suit. It's clearly CG. And there are so many scenes in this movie where you can tell it's someone in a suit. And I think that adds to why this feels like a street level Spider-Man movie. It feels lived in. It feels practical.
It does. The belt was moved lower to make Peter's torso look longer. The boots were designed to make Pete's legs appear longer. The suit was constructed differently from previous costumes. It was more comfortable and flexible. And, of course, a lot of the proportions were influenced by John Romita Sr. You can totally see that as well. The homemade tech, because he no longer has access to Tony's money and technology, he builds the EV. He's got the web shooters, of course. He's got these computer screens in this part of the loft or of this apartment building. We assume that somehow he got that money for all this stuff, either from Happy or from somebody. We don't question it because it's comic book stuff. Who cares?
Yeah.
Did you bump into any of that at all? Because we need Peter to be a nerd. He needs to be a science guy. That's okay, right?
None of that bothered me because it was set up all the way in Civil War where we saw that this kid is a dumpster diver and he built a lot of his own tech on his own.
True.
That was one of the things that Tony was impressed by with him. And so, yeah, you could get into how could this kid build all this stuff on his own, but it's a comic book movie and he's always been seen to be a scientist. And so, of course, he would have, I didn't read this as he has a ton of money. I read this as this guy figured out what worked for him and what's practical for him.
That makes perfect sense. We also have to mention Jerry Conway here, kids. We lost the great Jerry Conway, co-creator of The Punisher. Character first appeared, as we know, in Amazing Spider-Man 129 in 1974. And Jerry's connection to both Spider-Man and The Punisher makes the dedication that they gave him particularly fitting for a movie bringing the two characters together.
Yeah.
Our creators are getting older, Phil. We're losing a lot of them, unfortunately.
Yeah, I loved seeing like nods to creators and like seeing certain covers replicated here. That was awesome. Seeing the panel of Punisher carrying Spider-Man into the room. I believe that's a replica of the Civil War panel of Punisher walking in a room with after he saved Spider-Man from the Thunderbolts.
That's right. Did you ever think we'd get Frank Castle carrying Spider-Man into a hospital? Like, what is this movie? Dude, it was...
Yeah. Really
fan service.
really great.
Fan service.
Of course, want to see creators given their proper credit, being, properly compensated for their work as well, because that's been a big issue with a lot of these adaptations.
That's true. Yeah, for sure. Pay the creators, Marvel and DC. We've been screaming that for years. Creators should get paid. It's funny because Metzger, the role of Metzger, was reportedly decided, or reportedly they considered Anne Hathaway for this role. And she evidently decided the role was too small. Don't know if that's true or not. But that's something I uncovered. That's interesting. I think she would have been great because she's a great actress. Yeah, so the Brand New Day connection. We know what it comes from. One of the weirdest, most frustrating, most disappointing things I think I've ever read as a comic book fan was the New Day storyline. You know, makes a deal with Mephisto, the whole nine, and it set everything back. The storyline ran from Amazing Spider-Man 546 through 564 between 2008 and 2009. And I remember when this happened, I followed it in real time. I'm like, what is happening here? Just because you want to reset this character, it seems like a heck of a lot of hoops to jump through. I mean, we got bits and pieces of that with, you know, making people forget who Peter is and all that stuff. We leave it at this, right? I mean, in other words, are they going to undo this at some point? Not for the world to know that Peter is Spider-Man, but are they going to be able to undo this, at least for the Avengers or for his friends? How far do you think they'll get down the rabbit hole with this?
I'm not sure because, of course, we got, you know, the Marvel Studios approach to One More Day with No Way Home. And it wasn't as drastic as what One More Day attempted to do with the reset. And I was a fan of a lot of the Brand New Day comics. It gave us a lot of great stuff with Dan Slott and other creators. It was a bumpy road before it officially ironed out and got better. But it gave us a lot of good books. I mean, one of the Dan Slott books, because if I remember correctly, isn't this when Spider-Man became a weekly comic?
Oh, gosh, is it? Maybe it is. I was calling it Brand New Day, but it was One More Day. Yeah, I think you're right.
I believe it is. Either it became weekly or bi-weekly because it used to be a monthly book.
Sure.
We got that great arc with Dan Slott where he was writing what would Spider-Man be like if, you know, he was Spider-Man all the time. And obviously that inspired some of this as well. There are several things here that you can see the connections to Brand New Day. It's not very much like the comics, but there are like a few things that it inspired here. I don't know. I don't know if they're going to totally roll everything back, but I could see the point of this movie in showing us the consequences of Spider-Man overexerting himself and putting too much into one side of his life and not protecting the other side as much and not like developing, you know, real relationships like he had, because the Spider-Man that we got for 3 movies, he had a friend circle, he had a family, he had a mentor, he had all these things, and he lost all of that. And so to see him for a movie without it and to see how he operated for 4 years without it, I think it's important for where they're going with the character. And that's why I'm saying I could see them setting this up where maybe he doesn't die, but maybe he finally feels like I've done enough. Like I can retire. I could go off and do something else for a while. Because, you know, it's not worth like putting everything into this. I love that, you know, it's not just that he learned the lesson in those 3 movies of wanting glory that comes with being a hero, wanting to be an Avenger, wanting to be, you know, up there on the billboards and all the rest of this stuff. But like, he very much learned the consequences of being a hero for 3 movies.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like when he kept wanting to be an Avenger, and remember they made him an Avenger on the ship, and he's supposed to be happy, should be happy, but he gets that look on his face like, all right, this is real now. Let's go, right?
And this was after he had turned it down. He turned it down in his own movie. So
yeah, it's true.
I really like what they did here. And again, I do think they're setting this up for us to eventually get a happy ending with Mary Jane, just not yet. Well, MJ, sure. Michelle.
Yeah.
So I do think they're setting this up for a happy ending with them. I just think it's too soon. They can't completely roll it all back in the 4th movie.
It's too soon for sure. The Star Wars bit, kids, if you missed it, there's a scene from Empire that is on one of Ned's computer screens where the Snow Walker trips and falls on Hoth. It's the exact scene that Peter referenced during Civil War.
Yes.
That's very cool.
There were a lot of cool references like that.
Remember that? I think they were on the ship. He goes, "Hey, did you guys see that really, really old movie, Star Wars?" Like, just the way he says it. Like, all right, kid, shut up. That's awesome. Yeah, the little stuff they planned all through here.
Yeah.
During the scene where Spider-Man is hit by the battle van, a wall mural features Eminem's character B Rabbit from 8 Mile. That just kind of was in there from out of nowhere. The image is based on limited edition variant cover of The Amazing Spider-Man #1 from 2022. And the comic features Spider-Man and Eminem facing off in a rap battle. Hey, Eminem also recorded Venom for the 2018 Venom movie. We don't talk about the Venom movie. So you're welcome to like it if you want to. We knew this thing was going to be big, man, because the trailer received 719 million online views in 24 hours. And it sold like $20 million in pre-sales or whatever the number was. We knew it was going to do massive numbers. But again, we're back to where we started about where this movie is. I think it'll break 2 billion. I mean, I'm sure it will. It'll get there eventually. As we wrap this up, what are your thoughts out of this? Because the only thing we're left with at the end is Spider-Man will return. It doesn't say Spider-Man will return in Avengers Doomsday. And that post-credits scene with the Spidey tracker appears to show he's off-world, and this is Battle World. This is Doomsday. Other people took that to mean it can't find Spidey, but it found the other Spidey, which is Miles Morales. I guess you could read it either way. What do you think about what happens moving forward now?
Obviously, we're going to see him at some point. I believe he was filming this movie when Marvel was filming Doomsday. So he'll probably be in Secret War. But obviously, this is setting it up for him to be a part of the next big crossover with Marvel Studios. There's already been teases of Tobey Maguire showing up. That could be what this was a tease for. I don't know. They're clearly not flipping over all their cards just yet, but there's no way they're not going to do a big Avengers movies without Spider-Man.
No, not at all. I don't think, again, I believe he's got 2 more films of solo films left. I mean, in addition to whatever other Avengers stuff he does. How do you rank Brand New Day against the other Spider-Man movies? Let's say of all time. Have you done that yet?
Spider-Man 2 is still the standard for me. It's hard to beat that one. It's still, out of the live action movies, it's still at least number 1. This is the only movie I've ever seen where I felt like this could be better than Spider-Man 2. And I've said I need to watch it again, but it's possibly the best Spider-Man movie ever made. It's far and away the best Tom Holland Spider-Man movie, I think. It's easily clears the other 3. It's neck and neck with Spider-Man 2 for me still. So it's probably like Spider-Man 2 Brand New Day is somewhere in my top 3.
I love it. I'm not sure how I rank it. I don't think it beats part 2 of the Tobey trilogy either, because I love part 2 so much. I think it is as good as Into the Spider-Verse, which is also a tall order because that's such a great freaking movie, such an amazing film. But I love this movie. I just think they got it right. And, people can hate what they want, I guess. People want to hate this. It's up to them. It's weird, but whatever. Like what you want, I suppose. Kids, I think that'll do it for us this time out, reviewing this film, and a lot more to come on Spider-Man for sure. Phil, before we get out of here, let's get your last word on Spider-Man Brand New Day.
Yeah. I had a ton of fun watching this movie, and I mean, when I said earlier, there have been 9 Spider-Man movies. I have been seated in a theater for every single one of them. I am a Spider-Man fan. To me, he is the best comic book character. And I don't care how good the movie is. I will be seated because it's Spider-Man. And to see how far Tom has come in a role has really been a treat to see. To see him grow into the role and to see someone be able to play the character for this long has been really awesome. And, Brand New Day, I think, is going to age very well. I do believe it's going to go down as one of the best Spider-Man movies ever made. One of the closest depictions to the character in the comic in like a lived-in Marvel universe with like street-level characters along with it. This is the closest we've gotten. I didn't think we'd ever get a Spider-Man movie where he's interacting with Punisher and then can turn a corner and interact with Bruce Banner in the same movie. Like, I didn't think that was ever possible.
So good. We didn't give Mark Ruffalo enough love here. He is so solid every time he does this.
He was great. And I will never be one of those people that says there are too many cameos. We came from a place where Toby interacted with nobody as Spider-Man.
Yeah, nobody.
And so I'm never going to complain about Spider-Man interacting with the other comic book characters. Like,
yeah.
Why?
Yeah, it's so cool. It's so cool. I'll never not get enough of that. I would love to have seen Daredevil, but they had their hands full, so I understood. Well, kids, there you have it. There's Spider-Man Brand New Day. Be sure to visit us on boingstudios.com and be sure to like, share, and subscribe. No paywall on the YouTube. Boing Studios on YouTube. Please share and all that good stuff. We appreciate it very much. And please check out Phil and Righteous Reg on Grapsity on the YouTube as well. And come back here next week for another brand new episode of the 6M Podcast. But until then, that is Spider-Man Brand New Day. Hey, thanks for listening to the show. Check out our social media on Facebook, Instagram, and Threads at 6M Podcast. We'll see you next time.